The Truther Girls.
Hi everyone, it's Truther Girl Sonia here. Sorry about I'm not fixed up and the horrible lighting. I just want to touch base with you guys. I'm super sort of busy, got my hands really full with my son with me all the time. To give you an idea, let's just put it this way, it's like whatever you're doing, it takes 10 times longer with a kid like this in tow. I've wanted to tell you so many times what it's like. It's like, sorry to say, but it's like having someone with Alzheimer's in tow. He can only follow one step command. Anything that's several steps or where the goal in mind down the road, we're going from here to there to do this or that. It's like he can't keep track of it, and he's just kind of in his own world all the time. So yeah, it's like you have somebody with you who has Alzheimer's or something, or you know what it's like? It's like if your friend was on acid and you had to bring them with you all day. It's like your friend's on acid, your kid's on acid. I'm so tired, can barely think, but I'm thinking about this all day. I'm thinking, I wish they understood. I wish they understood. It's like having your friend on acid with you all day. It's like having your grandma with dementia with you all day. It's like a caregiving thing. It's not like normal parenting. Anyway, the reason I wanted to check in with you is because I wanted to give you an update about the homeschooling and all that. I'm just thinking, oh man, the lighting must be so bad, but whatever. Forgive me. It's been a really, really hard decision for me to make. What am I going to do with my son? Because seriously, it's almost impossible for me to live my life. Well, I mean, I can sort of, but a big part of the day, for example, just getting him showered and his hair done, it's like an hour and a half. He does nothing on his own. You can't be go take a shower. You can't say go get dressed. Really, it's, if I ask him to help me with any kind of housekeeping stuff around the house, whatever, I can't just be go dump out the rabbit litter boxes. I have to go and coach him, and for even things that he's done so many times. So whatever it is, everything just takes forever. And when he doesn't have direct attention, he gets bored instantly, and he'll entertain himself by doing things that he probably shouldn't be doing. Oh yes, that was the third thing. It's a bit like having a 2-year-old. Can you hear the wind? It's super windy. It's a bit like having a 2-year-old all the time. A grandparent with dementia, your friend on acid, or a 2-year-old. That's just to give you an idea of what it's like to go through your day with a child with autism spectrum or whatever in tow. It's like that. Really, he's in his own world, and it's all day I'm come on, come on, come on. It's just, ugh. Anyway, so it's hard. It's really hard for me, and I'm thinking, am I being realistic saying I'm going to homeschool him? Because honestly, with academics, not much is getting done. I mean, it's super hard to get him to do anything. You guys have no idea. I mean, if he doing something and he he'll find a lot of ways to avoid. You say, take your pencil. You have to tell him, pick up your pencil. You have to say it right here. It's so hard to get him on task, and he'll just do things like this all the time, or just random things. It's just all the time. And then he'll get up, and then if he encounters any frustration, he'll throw himself on the bed, and then it's an hour before you can get him out. I mean, it's really, really hard. There's a reason why they kicked him out of school. It's very hard. I don't want to say you can't get him to do anything, but it's extremely hard, and if you bear down on him, he locks down and you get nothing done. So you have to be extremely patient. It takes forever. Not much is covered. So, but I'm doing it. He read a book this week. I'd say that's pretty good. He also learned long division. He finally understood what subject is, a verb and an object. But in 1 week, a couple things get done. So I'm thinking, is it realistic? Am I totally crazy? Because it's burning me out. Sometimes I feel desperate to get away from him. I'm trying to find, where's a place where they take your kid, because my kid, everywhere I put him, they kick him out, I'm where can I drop him off where they can handle him? I'm racking my brains because I have nobody who can watch him, well, except his dad, obviously. But sometimes I have to do something with his dad, and then I don't know what to do with him. Anyway, I'm sometimes I feel kind of desperate. Sometimes I feel I shut down and I have stuff to do, but I'll just go and watch TV because it's hard to work when he's here. Because if I go on the computer, whether it's emails or forms or editing, he'll just bust in every couple minutes, sometimes every 30 seconds, and you just interrupt. And it's like, you cannot make it stop. Trust me, 10 years. It's been like this 10 years, and it doesn't matter if you're severe or if you make a promise, whatever, everything that works regularly, like normally with the kid, it doesn't work. It's not obvious, you know? So am I deluding myself to be doing this? But at the same time, I really want what's best for him. And number one, I know that the school experience has been very traumatic for him. And it's clear that the school board cannot serve him adequately. So the other thing was homeschooling, or do I put him in a special school for kids with disabilities and he could stay there till he's like 21? The hesitation I have with that is that I myself was in like an institutional kind of school, and I know that the focus is on compliance. And I know that you can sort of learn to comply while you're there, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be better off when you leave, because there's a certain amount of sort of trauma or stress that's involved with that. I mean, you're in the hands of people, obviously, who don't love you, and it's an institutional environment, and yes, it's a very tight structure, and yes, the focus is on compliance, but when you leave, it doesn't mean that everything you've learned there, you're going to keep it going. You actually might swing the opposite way, like I did. You could actually come out of there, like, sort of really having difficulty fitting into society, because after all, you've been institutionalized for a time, even I think with a school where you go home at night, but your environment is institutional. So you see, there is a problem with that. I would know from my experience, it's not really a solution. Like, it's a solution for the parents. In the meantime, it's easier for us. You can put your kid there. Yes, there will be academic progress, but I think the focus on the academics is sometimes it's a bit misplaced, because you're like, well, he's got to finish high school so he can go to CJEP University. But honestly, whatever his problems are, they're not going to end when he gets his high school diploma. It's just grades on a transcript. But he's still who he is. Yes, he'll be more mature, but does that mean he'll actually be employable? Or does that mean he'll be able to cope with university? You know, it's a bit like you're just seeing this one goal. We want to get that transcript. We want to get those credits. But that may not necessarily solve the problem. Actually, a lot of people with higher functioning ASDs, like Asperger's, they tend to be overeducated, nonetheless underemployed. So even if he does get the high school stuff and he does get a degree, he may have a lot of difficulty remaining employed. I think it's very important for him to pursue education and, you know, vocational training or whatever, and something that really means a lot to him. He's highly motivated to do, he'll be at his best. And for him, that's cooking. He wants to go to cooking school. So I don't really care about sending him to university. I don't really care about the high school transcript. I care about his dreams and his goals, which I think are the best bet. Trying to mold an autistic person into someone else's vision of what their future should be like, or their vision of their secure future, it doesn't really work. I know this from my experience. So I'm not sure about this kind of school. I'm not sure about how this is really going to help him prepare and adjust to the real world. On the other hand, with homeschooling, so far he's been kind of really isolated. I can give him lots of time for his academics, but it's a bit slow. But the good thing about homeschooling is he's with me and I really love him, and I'm encouraging him to be himself and to find what he's best at, what he's motivated at. Like, in my heart, I feel like it's good for him. I don't know if I can handle it though. So I had to really weigh, like, special school versus homeschool. And I prayed about it. I asked for a sign, which I don't usually do. I asked God, I was like, please give me a sign what direction to take him in. To take this in. And something funny happened. I went to the church Easter party, and there I met one of the women from our church who's a homeschooler. And I was talking to her about this, and she was telling me that it's very common for autistic parents, autistic children, to be homeschooled. There's tons of parents homeschooling their autistic children in Montreal because they cannot get adequate service from the school boards at all. The school boards they just don't do it right. It's so bad that this is like a big thing. Lots of autistic kids have been taken out. So I felt kind of better knowing that I'm not alone, and that this is a really big problem. And she said to me that they're revamping the whole system. Before you just send a letter saying I'll be homeschooling, now you're gonna have to submit a curriculum, but instead of going through the school boards, who are terrible with dealing with homeschooling, you're going to be dealing with the Ministry of Education. So there's no point in me sending a letter now, because he's still not withdrawn from school board. He's still with them, but home with the tutor. I can wait 45 days, because I would have to do it in 45 days anyway to register him with the Ministry of Education. And apparently it's going to be improved, although you'll have to submit a curriculum, but it'll be improved as in that the homeschooling grades, whatever you get, like your transcript, will be usable for CEGEP and trade school, which is very important to me, because apparently universities here in Montreal easily would take homeschoolers. It's not a problem for university, but for CEGEP and trade schools, it was a problem. They wouldn't take the kids. So I want my son to go to trade school. That's what he wants. So this is good news. So this tells me that it's a possibility. And just the fact that I met her and that she's very supportive and she's going to give me all this information and help me do this and get off on the right foot and like do everything right. To me, it seemed like a sign. I mean, like, I'm not a person who looks for signs, but I did ask God, please I actually said put someone on my path. And so then it was just like 2 days later and I meet this woman. Well, I've met her before, but I meet her at the party. And after the discussion that we had, I felt like, you know, God is pointing me in the direction of homeschooling for now. Like I said, I have misgivings about the special schools. And being in the school system has been absolutely traumatic for my son. And like I said, I'm not the only one who's had that experience. Because you see, they say that they're going to accommodate for autism, but they still expect a certain amount of compliance with the routine and everything that's going on. And you know, my son he's capable of it only with an extreme level of intervention and support, which they're not providing. The amount of intervention and support that you have to provide to get him anywhere near functional, anywhere near his age, or even just appropriately for school, is much more than what the school board provides. Like when he was in a day program, and every second of the day it's structured, every second of the day, every intervention, every moment of the day is handled with interventions that are implemented by experts in this. And at that point, he could function. But you can never pull back on the intervention. That's the thing. When you pull back, he starts to just backslide. It doesn't stick. So in the schools, they get tired of that. Because they're like, well, we don't have the time or the money to implement this level of intervention every step of the way, year after year. But the fact is, this is what he needs. He doesn't fly solo. Not yet. It's just not going to happen. So if you put all that and then you're like, well, we did all this and how come now he's not doing it? Well, because you have to maintain that level of intervention and they won't do that. So they get fed up. Because with him, you cannot just say his name once or say something to him once. You have to repeat till you get his attention. Repeat till you get the compliance with whatever it was. Or you have to have strategies. Class, dojo, point system, all day token economy for every single thing. And this 3 strikes method and the stickers and, you know, all this visual feedback. You have to have all that just to get him to do what all other children just do naturally. Like follow the routine of the class. Take your shoes or your boots off, put the shoes or boots on, whatever. Go outside, come back in, simple transitions, lunch, just taking your stuff out of your bag. Those basic things, he needs that much support for it. So school doesn't want to do it. So they get fed up. So when he doesn't comply, they start grabbing. That's what it really is. They grab. And the other thing is he never stops talking. He likes to make people laugh, but it's inappropriate to do this in the middle of class. And then when the teachers are trying to shut him down, he thinks maybe if he tries harder and makes the teacher laugh, then it'll be okay. And this is like a total disaster because he's always getting kicked out for disrupting the class. Anyway, it was a total disaster. He was getting manhandled all the time, which led to him like sort of fighting back, which led to them throwing him on the ground in like a lock, kicking his knees out, sitting on top of him. I mean, this is horrible. This is abusive. But that's how frustrating it is because he cannot function without that intense level of constant intervention. Constant. And if you expect him to function without that, you're going to get frustrated. And you're going to end up, wanting to grab him. Like, I want to grab him, but I don't do it. I accept that things will move very slowly, and I'm not going to get as much from him as you would think you would get from a kid who's nearly 11. He's just not that functional. So, apparently this is like a huge problem for a lot of people. And I just want to let you know that. And a lot of people are homeschooling. And if you're thinking of homeschooling, you have to go through the Ministry of Education now. And down the road, if I get more info, I'll leave you the link. And so I just feel like this is where the direction God's taking me, taking us. And this is what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to register him with the ministry for homeschooling, and we'll see how it goes in the fall. I mean to take him to the homeschool center, but I never have time. Look, I can't even make proper videos. I mean, it's really hard, So eventually, though, I hope to get down there. But that's the thing, like, people are like, oh, you should take him here, you should take him there. First of all, what do you think, I have unlimited funds? I mean, you take him all these museums and all these activities. I don't have that. I also don't have unlimited time, and everything with him takes like 10 times longer. It's complicated. But anyway, I'm still going to do the homeschooling. Maybe take him to the homeschool center once a week. I'm hoping he'll make some friends because he still doesn't have any. Only place that really accepts us is like our church. At least, thank God for them. Anyway, I'll keep you updated. And I hope this information is useful to you also, if you're parents of a kid on the spectrum. And thanks for listening to me. And I'll see you next time.